Many gardeners assume that if a plant is sold at a nursery, it must be safe for the garden. But that assumption has caused countless problems. What's attractive in a pot can become a nightmare when it escapes its bounds. Across North America and Europe, several popular garden plants have escaped cultivation and become destructive invaders. Some spread aggressively through underground roots, others smother trees, and a few can even damage buildings or harm people. The garden, for all its peace, can harbor threats that linger quietly until it's too late. Today we're looking at 20 plants that experienced gardeners often avoid. Plants that can quickly turn a peaceful garden into a constant battle. If you enjoy learning practical gardening wisdom that protects your soil, plants, and property, consider subscribing to Seedly. Now let's begin with some of the most aggressive plants you should recognize immediately. Kudzu is a name that strikes fear into the hearts of gardeners across the American South. Originally introduced as an ornamental vine and for erosion control, kudzu grows at a staggering rate, sometimes over a foot a day. Left unchecked, it climbs over trees, shrubs, and fences, forming a dense blanket that blocks sunlight and smothers everything beneath. Even mature trees can be killed by its weight and shade, and controlling kudzu is a monumental task. For most gardeners, the only sensible approach is to avoid introducing it to the garden altogether. Japanese honeysuckle is admired for its sweet fragrance and delicate blossoms, but beneath its charm lies a sinister habit. Its vines wrap tightly around young trees and shrubs, strangling them as they grow and forming dense mats that shade out native plants. Young trees are especially vulnerable, and the vine's grip can deform trunks and branches. Once established, Japanese honeysuckle is notoriously difficult to remove. Its roots dig deep, and even a small remnant can regrow. While its scent may be intoxicating, experienced gardeners think twice before allowing this beauty into their landscapes. Wisteria's cascades of purple or white flowers are breathtaking, but its vigorous growth and immense weight can cause serious damage. It climbs by twining woody stems around anything it can reach: trellises, fences, even house walls, crushing supports or prying apart brickwork. When grown into trees, Wisteria's heavy canopy can break branches or topple saplings. Regular, rigorous pruning is essential, but even experienced gardeners sometimes lose control. Sometimes the most beautiful plants demand the highest price. Japanese knotweed is perhaps the most infamous invader on this list. Its underground rhizomes can grow many meters in every direction, breaking through concrete, tarmac, and even house foundations. Above ground, it forms dense stands that crowd out all other vegetation. Once knotweed takes hold, it's almost impossible to eradicate. Tiny root fragments can regenerate a new colony. For gardeners, it's a stark reminder that some plants are best left out of the garden entirely. Bamboo has an undeniable elegance, but running bamboo spreads aggressively underground, sending rhizomes far beyond where you planted it. These runners can travel several meters in a single season, emerging unexpectedly in lawns, beds, or even through patios. Once established, running bamboo forms dense, impenetrable thickets that are nearly impossible to remove without excavating the entire root system. Always check whether your bamboo is a runner or a clumper before planting. What starts as a graceful accent can become the garden's biggest headache. Mint is beloved for its aroma and culinary uses, but it's infamous for overrunning garden beds. Once planted, mint sends out runners in all directions, quickly turning a tidy patch into a sprawling mass. Its roots are persistent. Any fragment left in the soil can sprout anew. For those who love mint, always plant it in a container with a solid bottom, or you may spend more time pulling mint than enjoying it. Comfrey is often touted as a wonder plant, but it's incredibly hard to control once established. Its roots plunge deep into the earth, making removal nearly impossible. Tiny pieces left behind can regenerate. Planting comfrey too close to beds or paths can result in endless weeding and frustration. Its value is best harnessed in a dedicated spot where its deep roots won't become a future problem. Giant hogweed is both impressive and dangerous, towering over the garden with umbrella-like flower heads. Its sap contains chemicals that, when exposed to sunlight, cause severe burns and blistering. The risk is not just to gardeners, but also to children and pets. A brush against giant hogweed can turn a day outdoors into a medical emergency. Its seeds spread easily, making it a persistent invader. For most gardens, it's simply not worth the risk. Poison ivy is infamous for the itchy, blistering rash it causes, thanks to urushiol oil in every part of the plant. Contact with even a small amount can trigger an allergic reaction, and the oil can linger on tools, clothes, and pet fur. Poison ivy thrives in sun or shade, spreading by seed and creeping roots, and its leaves blend into the background. Experienced gardeners know to identify and remove poison ivy promptly, using gloves and washing thoroughly afterward. The stately black walnut hides a secret weapon, juglone, a chemical toxic to many common garden plants. Tomatoes, potatoes, apples, and many flowers simply won't grow in its shadow, and the effect can persist in the soil for years. Even compost made from walnut leaves can carry the toxin. Careful plant selection is essential if you have a black walnut on your property. Field bindweed looks delicate, but its roots can grow several meters deep, and even tiny fragments can regenerate. It forms dense mats that smother crops, flowers, and lawns, climbing anything nearby. Pulling or tilling often makes the problem worse, as each broken root creates an opportunity for regrowth. Long-term control requires persistence, repeated digging, mulching, and sometimes targeted herbicides. Creeping Charlie, or ground ivy, is known for its rapid spread across lawns and garden beds. It quickly forms a dense carpet, smothering grass and perennials, especially in shade and moist soil. Its stems root at every node, making hand-pulling frustrating and often futile. Keeping it at bay requires vigilance and early intervention. Lily of the Valley is cherished for its delicate flowers and sweet scent, but below ground it's a determined spreader. Its rhizomes quickly form dense colonies, and even small fragments left behind can resprout. Gardeners often find themselves battling this plant well beyond the original planting area. It's best kept to contained spaces where its spread can be controlled. Purple leucostrife is striking in flower, but it masks a serious ecological threat. Once introduced to wetlands, it spreads rapidly, crowding out native plants and disrupting habitats. Its seeds are tiny and prolific, easily carried by water or wind. Gardeners can help by avoiding purple leucostrife near water and choosing safer alternatives. English ivy is a classic sight on old buildings and shaded gardens, but left unchecked, it can smother trees and damage structures. Its aerial roots pry apart mortar and work into cracks, causing costly problems. On trees, ivy creates a heavy canopy that stresses branches and increases wind damage risk. Controlling English ivy requires regular pruning and vigilance. Sometimes its classic charm is simply not worth the risk. Morning glory enchants with vibrant flowers, but its fast growth and prolific self-seeding can quickly overwhelm garden beds. Left unchecked, Vines twine around and smother other plants, forming dense, tangled masses. Each plant produces hundreds of seeds, many viable for years, making removal a long-term challenge. Strict deadheading and prompt removal are essential to prevent it from becoming a perennial nuisance. Canada thistle is a formidable foe, with spiny leaves and deep, spreading roots that anchor it firmly in place. This perennial weed quickly colonizes open ground, crowding out vegetables and perennials. Even small root fragments can regenerate, making control daunting. The best approach is to act quickly at the first sign of invasion. Garlic mustard spreads rapidly through woodlands and shaded gardens, releasing chemicals that inhibit native plants. Its prolific seeds ensure it returns year after year, dominating the forest floor. The plant is easy to pull when young, but its seed bank can persist for years. Remove garlic mustard promptly and monitor for new seedlings each spring. Yellow archangel is admired for its silvery leaves and yellow flowers, but in shade, it quickly forms dense mats that crowd out native wildflowers. Its stems root wherever they touch the ground, making it difficult to contain. Once established, yellow archangel is extremely difficult to eradicate. There are safer, less invasive options for ground covers and shade.